guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and today is my 1-year ownership review of my GLA 45 AMG. Alright guys, before we get started and taking this car out of the ride, if you could just please hit the subscribe button. If every one of you who watches this video subscribes, I'll be in great shape, and this will allow me to keep making videos. So thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. Okay guys, so before we drive the car, let's go over some of the practical features. Alright guys, I've had the GLA 45 a year now, so let's start it up. The speedometer here goes up to 200 miles an hour. That's pretty cool. The gas tank is about 13 gallons. I think it's 13.7, but don't quote me. Here you have the water temperature in Celsius. It's a German car. Tachometer, the red line is about 6,200 RPM, and shortly after that it'll go to fuel cutoff. So if you don't shift in time, once the turbo kicks in, it spools up pretty quick. It's a single turbo twin scroll, and you can get to fuel cutoff, which is embarrassing if you don't shift on time. All right, and the A is the automatic stop start. We can actually press a button on the dash here, and that'll actually go away if we don't want to do it. Now it only will do the stop start if you're in comfort mode. So there's 3 levels here for the shifter. Comfort mode and sport mode, it shifts for you, and as we press that, it'll change on the dash. So I pressed it once, we're in S mode. We press it again, we're in manual mode. So manual mode, you have to shift your own gears. You will redline and get to the fuel cutoff if you don't shift. It actually will, that's upshift. It actually will downshift for you, which I can demonstrate as you're driving. It'll go, keep you in the right gear. As you come to a stop, it'll go third, second, down to first. So let's see how many miles I have on it. I've had it exactly a year now. You got to go through the menu here. You just press the buttons on the steering wheel. I like to keep the big speedometer. I think it's a lot easier because you can see your speed right away than always looking at the speedometer here. So let's go through the menus here. I forget how, oh, there we go. So the mileage I have on this car is 9,610 miles. That's the trip odometer that says the 24. I just haven't reset it in forever. I bought this car with 900 miles. If you watch my first video of when I bought this car, I bought it with 900 miles. So I put 8,700 miles on it in a year. And again, I have 7 other cars, but this is my daily driver. So this car I've put the most miles on. So let's just call it 9,000 for argument's sake. I probably drive about 30,000 miles a year. More than that if I count driving your cars on the weekends, but it's spread out over 8 cars. I have a couple options in here. I have the Harman Kardon stereo, which is very good. You know, it's not Bang & Olufsen, it's not Meridian sound, but Harman Kardon is very good and worth it. This car is a very harsh ride. So this time around, because I had a CLA 45 AMG originally. So I have this car for 1 year, and let's call it 9,000 miles. Before my M2, I had a CLA 45 AMG, which is basically this is the hatchback, the sedan version of this car. And I had that car for 2 years. I bought it new, and I sold it with about 22,000 miles. So in reality, I've had this engine and this type of car, a 45 AMG, really for 3 years and 30,000 miles. Now this is optional on this is standard on the dash, this aluminum look here. On my CLA 45 AMG, to kind of break up the interior, I went to the carbon fiber piece, which is like $1,000 option. Makes it really nice because it's carbon fiber. But you know, this time around I bought it used, so I didn't have get any. You know, you have to buy it the way it came with the options. First time around with the CLA, I got cloth seats, and the cloth seats wore pretty fast. And I think I had the optional AMG steering wheel, which is Alcantara, and that wore pretty well too after 22,000 miles. I was surprised how much wear and tear it had on it. That car actually had trouble selling with 2 years and 22,000 miles. I don't know why, and I wound up trading it in for the M2. All right, so after 9,000 miles, the paint in this car is really good. I use it as a daily driver, and there's really no chips anywhere. I think I have one spot on the whole car, but the paint on this car is doing a lot better than my M2 with similar mileage. The BMW seems very fragile, especially the front bumper. Everything makes a nick or a scratch, where this car is in excellent shape after 9,000 miles. Now the tires too, and again, I have winter tires on, probably 4 months a year, and these tires seem pretty good. They're original to the car, so they definitely have less than 9,000 miles. I'm gonna guess they probably have about 6,000 miles on them. So it looks like they're probably gonna last, well, they're not as good at the tread as I thought. Probably gonna last, I'd say, 12,000 miles. These are sticky Continental Sport Contact tires, so they are summer tires, and they look maybe about halfway worn after, I would say, 6,000 out of the 9,000 miles. Okay, and this car is very practical too. I said it could be the ultimate daily driver. I'm 6 feet tall, 180 pounds. That's how I keep my seat in the position I keep it in. And even at that position, I could sit in the back seat myself and be very comfortable. So I could sit in the back here. I got plenty of headroom. I got plenty of leg room, even sitting behind myself. So if you were shorter than 6 feet, you really have a ton of leg room here. And it has, the roof is actually raised. I have no sunroof either, which gives you more headroom. You know how I don't like sunroofs. So this is a non-sunroof car, and you have plenty of headroom back there. Actually, the sunroof would just be in the front, but still you have plenty of headroom back there. So with my CLA 45, that sedan has like a swoopy roof line. And being 6 feet tall, I couldn't sit in the back seat. You probably had to be 5'9" or shorter to sit in the back seat. All right, it's very practical. I have my hockey gear here, my stick that's almost as tall as I am, my bag, which is probably about the size of 2 golf bags. The stick, you could fold the seats down and easily put it back there, but what I do is I just put it through the back seat to the front passenger seat. Doesn't interfere with me at all because the blade of the stick is actually going to the front passenger seat, and it stays down there. It doesn't get into the shift knob, nothing like that. This doesn't look big, but it's really actually huge. And this is not even counting folding the seats down. What I can do is just put it back here easily. Unlike the CLA or every smaller car now, the M2 have very small trunk openings, and I really kind of have to shove it in there and make sure I don't scratch anything. You got protection here so you don't scratch your bumper. And then this is height adjustable. I like it high because I'm tall enough that I don't want to hit my head. But if you're shorter, you can adjust it lower. If you're in a low garage or a low parking, you could height adjust it anywhere. You just press the stop button and that's where it would stop. But I keep it all the way up just because I don't want to knock my head doing the bag. And then press this button and it comes down. And here you got a 4 Seasons all-arounder, all-weather hot hatch. So the first thing you'll notice about the GLA 45 is the engine. And these cars are very similar to CLA and GLA and CLA. So if you're looking at a CLA, you can use this video too. It's going to be the same likes and dislikes. I really bought this car because I kind of wanted an all-wheel drive everyday car. This car actually drives in front-wheel drive and will actually switch to all-wheel drive as there's slippage. Now the CLA, maybe I'm just used to it. My CLA, I noticed it driving as a front-wheel drive car, which I'm a rear-wheel drive person, so I like rear drive best, then all-wheel drive, then front-wheel drive the least. So I noticed the front-wheel drive with that car. Now I think that car has a longer wheelbase, it's a longer car, so maybe because of that, I noticed the front-wheel drive more. This car seems like it's in all-wheel drive all the time when I know that it's really not. But this disguises well that it's based on a front-wheel drive system. And an all-wheel drive, it's awesome. I have Blizzaks for the winter, and it's unstoppable. Now, the downsides of this car, we're seeing a little traffic here, is the transmission. It's an okay dual clutch transmission, and they've improved it every year. So my 2014 CLA, it wasn't very good. This is a 2015, and it's definitely improved over that. And the 2016 is even better. There was a big price difference for me between 15 and 16. When I bought this in September of 16, all the 16s were brand new cars, where I bought this slightly used. So that brings us to price. This car has a sticker of about $63,000, I believe, and I got it for about $44,500, so just under $45,000. I essentially got $17,000 off sticker, and there were only 900 miles on the car. So it just shows you it's probably not a $60,000 car. I think there's a lot of other cars you can get for $60,000, not all-wheel drive certainly, but you can get a fully loaded M2 with a manual transmission for $54,000, with DCT about $57,000, $58,000. And as far as a sports car, that's a much better car than this. So I think this car is way overpriced at $63,000. But if you can find a used one for $45,000, because now you can, there's a lot of cars for $45,000 used. I think it's a steal. You know, with higher miles, you can probably even get one for the low 40s. And I think it's worth every penny. I cross-shopped, and they're not really competitors. I didn't want to go above $45,000 for an everyday car, and I wanted to get used because I didn't want to pay the depreciation of a new car. So the two cars I kind of narrowed it down to was a Panamera, which I had rented out in California, which I love, and this car. After I traded my CLA 45 AMG in for the M2, I really missed this engine. This engine, you know, the M2 is basically a tuned 235 motor, where this car, the engine, at least when it came out, was the most powerful four-cylinder ever produced. This, in 2015 models, whoop, did a little acceleration there. It's 4.2 seconds to 60 according to Car and Driver. That's probably with the race start, but it's definitely really fast if you drive this car. 2015 models have 355 horsepower. If you go back to the CLA, 2014 and 2015 models have the 355 horsepower. For 2016, they boosted it up another 20 horsepower to 375. And I think at some point, I don't know if it's 18 or 19, they're actually going to go to 400 horsepower with this motor. Don't quote me on that because I'm not positive. Is not as good as BMW DCT or Audi S-Tronic or Porsche PDK. But this engine is amazing. That's the best part of this car. The handling is great, the practicality is great, but the engine is worth its weight in gold. You can also get a Rentec tune with this car. This is what the Mercedes dealer told me. It's an ECU tune for $1,500, gives you an extra 100 foot-pounds of torque. The torque with this car stock, I believe, is 332, so you'd have 430 foot-pounds of torque. And if you get it done at your Mercedes dealer, it doesn't void your warranty, which is amazing. So maybe at some point, I don't keep cars that long, but if I kept this car a long time, I would probably do that too. Now, I like this car best in manual mode. In comfort mode, there's nothing comfortable about it. They shouldn't even call it comfort mode. The shifts are very jerky. In sport mode, they're really too harsh. So if you accelerate this car, I know a lot of people differ with me, and that I've met, they drive their car in sport mode all the time. And I think the red line shifts are just so, you know, bash your head into the back of the seat. They're too abrupt. So I think manual mode makes this dual clutch a lot better. Again, you have to make sure you don't hit red line or fuel cutoffs. You have to be paying attention. I like to always downshift the car for me. Unfortunately, as we pull up to the light, you'll see it'll downshift for you. But I prefer to do the gears myself. I mean, I think this car would be phenomenal if it came in a manual transmission, so it doesn't. If a car comes with a dual clutch and a manual, to me personally, I would always pick the manual, but I don't mind it. If a car only comes with dual clutch, that's fine with me. So I have so many manual 6 or 7 stick shift cars. I was really looking something for a dual clutch, just so I could, if I go into New York City or I go places a lot of times with a lot of traffic, I don't have to worry about, you know, ruining my clutch all the time, shifting first, neutral. And this car is, another great thing about this car is it's great in all types of weather. So it's really a fantastic car in the rain. What I talked about earlier with proper winter tires, is really a beast in the snow. So I don't care what the weather, I don't even check the weather with this car, because I know I got the right tires on it, and it'll just be, it'll perform flawlessly. And for passing power, you just want to keep the turbos on boil, and you just have a ton of power. The dual clutch makes it very easy to do that, to keep the car in the meat of the power band. So the positive about this car, it's performance. The engine is amazing. It's really like a luxury Evo. It reminds me of a Mitsubishi Evolution, but a more comfortable car, and a more, nicer interior, everything. You have Mercedes quality in here, and the performance is amazing. You'll love every second of this performance. The downsides of it are, well, three things. The dual clutch transmission is okay, it's not great. It's improved in the newer models, but they're going to cost you a lot more money. A 2016 probably costs at least 10 grand more than buying a used 2015. So it's up to you if it's worth it for those upgrades. There's also some suspension upgrades. You can get like a sport suspension for the new car that gives you adjustable settings and like I think up to 5 different modes on how harsh you want the suspension. So this has got the base suspension. On my CLA 45 AMG, I got the sport suspension, and I kept singing the praises of a sport suspension. Using as a daily driver, that sport suspension did get to me. So when I bought this car used, I was hoping to find one with Recaro seats, but without the sport suspension. The one must-have option I think you need is the sport exhaust. For that $500-600, it just makes the car sound amazing. I would try to find a car with Recaro seats if you're buying used. I know they're an expensive option. New, I think the seats were like $2,500, and then if you want them covered with leather, there's another fee. So they're probably pushing, over $3,000 once you add the leather to it. Downsides, another downside is a harsh ride. I think BMW M cars have a great mix of no body roll, neutral handling, and comfortable suspension, even with their Sport M suspension. This is way harsher than that. And excuse me, I got to do some accelerating here. And I only have a base suspension on here, and it's still an extreme car. So I just have a friend that has an Audi S4. I just let him drive this car, and he said it's way stiffer than his Audi, and I believe it. This car can beat you up, so be careful. You know what you're getting into. If you're coming out of an E63 AMG, it's a totally different driving experience with a front drive based all-wheel drive system, and a 4-cylinder turbo instead of a big meaty V8. But it's just such a nimble car. And there will be some understeer and tight turns. It's front-wheel drive based, but it does hide that understeer very well. And I actually get a little oversteer with this car. I don't know if I'm used to having the cars now and 2 examples of it, but to me, the GLA oversteers more than the CLA. Now, the CLA actually does, I believe, have a little stiffer suspension, because Mercedes markets the GLA for some reason as a crossover. To me, it's a Subaru STI wagon. I don't see it as a little SUV the way they see it, and I think that's probably why they've sold so few. The CLA, they make the exhaust sound a little louder, and I believe that the suspension is a little stiffer, so they kind of soften them up here. So you really only get the exhaust in this car if you drive it in manual mode. So we're in comfort mode now, and even if I did some accelerations, the exhaust would be a lot quieter on the inside and the outside. You decide if a $60,000 car is worth it for you. I think at a used price point of about $45,000, I think it's the best car out there, the best all-wheel drive, practical, fun-to-drive car for that money. I think it's a rare enough car that you're not going to see another one. I've had this car a year. I think I've only seen 2 on the road, and I live right near where Mercedes headquarters used to be, so there's a lot of Mercedes around here. I just love driving this car, though. I always try to drive the long way home. It's just so much fun to put miles on it. Again, nothing with the all-wheel drive, nothing phases this car. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down for the speed bump. I'm in 3rd gear right now. It's a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. So what I'm going to do is as I slow down, it's actually going to put me into 2nd, and then it actually put me to 1st gear. I didn't touch anything. And now 1st gear, shift. When you do manual mode, you get that overrun pop. It rev matches all the shifts for you. If you were doing something stupid like going to 2nd when you didn't have room to downshift, it'll save you from yourself and not give you the downshift. Okay, guys, thanks for watching that 1-year review. This has really been an amazing car. I really love the car. I'm so glad I bought it. It's been a great year with this car. Again, this car is the engine is amazing. The engine beats my M2 hands down. This is really a special engine. I've had it in 2 cars now, the CLA 45 AMG and this car, the GLA 45 AMG, and I just love it. I love the GLA also for how practical it is. Now I can have more extreme sports cars because this car can do everything. I can fit 4 adults in this car. I could fit all the luggage I ever wanted to carry, and I could it's great in the winter too. Winter, rain, nothing phases this car. With proper winter tires, you really have a snow beast here, and it's almost like driving a rally car in the winter, which really makes it incredible. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. If everybody who watches this video actually subscribes, I'll be in terrific shape. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Leave a positive comment below, and share this video with your friends so our channel can grow. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.